Live in our studio, our mayor of our city of Akron, Shammas Malik, taking time to join us in what has been a whirlwind couple of weeks for him. Official swearing in last week at E.J. Thomas. And Shammas, that's where I wanted to start is
Yeah.
as you're up on that podium
Yeah.
last Saturday and you have the idea, I'm going to run for mayor. You win the primary. You're now the official mayor of Akron. It's been a pretty interesting time for you for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
All came to the forefront there last Saturday. How about you personally? What was going through your mind last week?
It was just a beautiful moment, an opportunity to kind of reflect. You can't really see out into the crowd because they got all the lights flying at you. But, in the crowd, there are people I've known my whole life. One of my college roommates who I haven't seen since, I don't think I've seen him since COVID. And he came down and, things like family came in from out of town. And then, I could see our new cabinet, some of the folks who have been part of our transition team and our campaign team. So it was just a really beautiful moment to kind of have everybody in one room. And then doing it at EJ, the next day was 11 years since my mom had passed away, and she worked at the University of Akron. And so, it was an opportunity to kind of reflect personally on what she's done for me. I wouldn't be standing there without her. So it was a really beautiful moment. And so then I said, it's time I'm kind of tired of talking. Now it's time to get to work.
You kind of lead me into my next point. When you look at the last two mayors in the city of Akron, and Mayor Plasquellic was a high school football star and went to the university, and of course came up through council, and Mayor Horrigan came up through Akron, taught at St. Vincent St. Mary, clerk of courts and council and mayor. How about a little information? We've been talking a lot about you. Obviously, when you were on council, your area knew a lot about you. Talk a little bit about Shammas Malik for all the folks in Akron who now are welcoming you in as the new mayor.
Yeah, born and raised here in Akron. Just grew up right around the corner from here. I grew up going to the Ayers Library next door and West Point Market before the Whole Foods. But have one younger brother. My mom raised my brother and I mostly on her own, and went to Firestone. Got an amazing education there. Got a scholarship to the Ohio State University. We gotta do better next year. And
Yes, we do.
And then had a chance to go on to Harvard for law school, which was kind of surreal experience. And then decided to move home in 2016. So have been back home since then, and just I live in the Merriman Valley, building a life there, and just really proud of this community. The other day, but before our council meeting, I haven't been walking much, so I got up and took a walk and actually walked up to the university and was walking through the building where my mom's office used to be. And just, this community has so much history and legacy. And, as I was walking through the civil engineering building, which I've walked through a million times, as a child, I saw a thing on the wall for Wendell Ledoux, who was the superintendent of the Akron Water Bureau and kind of a historic civil engineer. And that's been there even when I was a kid. I didn't know about that. Now I know the history of it, and I know all the investment we've made in our water system. So it's funny to see kind of some of those personal things and some of those professional things intersect.
As a kid, you looked at it as a plaque, and now you
Yeah,
look
it's
at it
just
as Akron history, and I'm in the middle of this
exactly.
now.
Yes.
With us is Mayor Shammas Malik, City of Akron, with us in studio. Let's talk a little bit about today. You're going to have a town hall
Yes.
talking to folks about the search for our new police chief. So talk all about this.
6 p.m. Garfield CLC. Please come by. Really would love to have folks. Want to give the community an opportunity to weigh in and share what you want to see in Akron's next police chief. We have a community survey that's live online. If you go to akronohio.gov, it's right there, and you can fill it out online. There's also paper copies available at the at community centers, and we're also going to be spending the first 15 minutes, like they did in school sometimes. Is the first 15 minutes we're filling out the survey, all of us together in the room. So it's going to be an opportunity for folks to just get the mic and talk about what you want to see whatever that is. And then this is not going to be the end of the process. We're going to then go through the process of actually opening up applications, and then we'll have a couple finalists, and then have an opportunity for probably at least 2 more town halls after that to give people an opportunity to see those finalists directly. But again, today, 6 p.m., Garfield CLC. Love to see you there. Also showcase a beautiful Akron Public School. I think our newest Akron Public Schools high school, a really beautiful building in there. So want folks to come by Firestone Park tonight.
Mayor, there's really no timeline on this, right? You want to get it right, and the search, and whether it's internal or going outside, you want to get this right.
Absolutely. We're going to take our time. We're being intentional. We're spending a lot of time on it. So, yesterday spent some time trying to finalize the survey. We're doing a very similar but a little bit more specific survey for our police department. So we want every single member of our police force to give their opinion, and we're trying to make sure folks know that it's anonymous, and we're taking some steps around there. We're hopefully going to get that out today. We're working on the brochure that the search firm is going to share. So we're working on all of it, but we don't want to rush it. We want to take our time. We have an acting chief in place, one of our deputy chiefs, Brian Harding, and so we spent actually my leadership team, the chief of staff and the chief of strategy, and I went over and spent some time with the chief, deputy chiefs, and the captains yesterday. So, our police department is able to do the work of policing while we go through this leadership transition. We're going to take our time.
Akron Mayor Shammas Malik with us in studio. And Shammas, you and I have spent some time together the last few months talking about Akron quality of life issues and everything that we got going. It's pretty exciting in our neighborhoods. It's exciting in the downtown. We got the towpath, we got the valley and such. Really, a lot of it comes down to economics, though. When you look at the city, and a lot of that comes, if you take it to the next step, with the small businesses. It's always a backbone of a community. As you look at Akron, and I'm sure you've met with Steve over at the Greater Akron Chamber and other folks, where is Akron right now economically and the business structure? Is this an area that needs attention to detail? Not that it never doesn't need it, but where are you right now with the business of where we are financially in the city?
Absolutely. So, as we were leaving here last week, I shared with you what we were going to announce later that day, which is some of our choices for what our Office of Integrated Development. So, our Economic Development Director is Susie Graham Moore, who's at Downtown Akron Partnership now, the CEO of Downtown Akron Partnership, and then Kyle Julian, who's been with the East Akron Neighborhood Development Corporation, and then the Development Finance Authority, which is the port authority that does the financing on some of these businesses, actually spends a lot of time doing small business loans. He's the planning director. So those folks are coming in. We have Latonda Mobley, who's been over our Great Streets program, which is about neighborhood business districts. She's remaining in her role. And then Sean Volman, who's been there, he's going to be the deputy director of economic development. Those folks, that team is a force to be reckoned with. Those are some very smart folks when it comes to economic development, but particularly when it comes to neighborhood development. If you look at, again, the work that Kyle's been doing has been about how do you help small businesses get loans? How do you help I know there's property down there in Firestone Park that he's been telling me about for years that they help get financing. And then when you look at Susie, downtown is in many ways a neighborhood. And so she's been really a force through the pandemic, really trying to help provide a lifeline to those small businesses, right? Often someone who is kind of shouting into some pretty tough times and saying, hey, we need to make sure to help these folks out during the Main Street issues and other issues. So I have a lot of faith in them. I've been, seeing some of the email traffic that's been going on so far, thinking about some innovative programs that we can use to kind of revitalize our small business efforts. So absolutely, small business is a huge key, right? The folks who are going to drive Akron's economy, our large employers are really important, and we'll continue to talk to them. We're setting up meetings with some of those largest employers. But, a business that has 20 or 50 employees can go to 100 or 200 employees in a matter of years. A large a large entity is not going to double in size or anything like that. And then we also have to give more attention to our small firms, 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and particularly try to help get them some of this work with the city, which is that the city itself has a huge budget. We got, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I said this in the swearing in, we have to make it easier to bid on a city contract. So for professional services, for any kind of service. So we're spending a decent amount of time on that too, kind of getting our own house in order. But across the board, helping people get economic opportunity and give them a chance and then see what they do with it, that's going to be the name of the game.
Akron Mayor Shammas Malik with us live in studio. And all comes together when you talk about the workings of a city, and that's economics, that's quality of life, and economics and the neighborhoods and such. And I know you've only been officially on the job as mayor for
11 days.
11 days, but on council and stuff. And I know there's a commission put together. But do you have any initial thoughts you could share with us pertaining to the inner belt? And it's been highly talked about for quite some time, dividing of neighborhoods. It was actually never finished, lack of work, and now we're going to move forward with it. But you personally, you've seen this thing since you were a little guy. What are your thoughts on this inner belt?
Like a lot of people, my engagement with the inner belt was one day a year on July 4th. We would go down and we would get on the inner belt and watch the fireworks. And I thought it was the coolest thing. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was the place where you go to watch fireworks, But, so how do we use this space better? Because it's not used. And so we have $1 million grant from the federal government that's going to be used for planning over the next year or so. They're going through the process, actually, speaking of bids, of putting together the RFP to get that out there. And we're thinking about it, but particularly what I'd like to see is, if you're looking at some kind of mixed-use development like they have in Cleveland, that's 10 years away. That's something like that. We have to be thinking about what we're using it for: a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, so it's not blighted, and so folks see some value to it. So, can we create a skate park there? Can we, create some use, particularly for kids, right? Young people these days keep telling us that they want, safe places to spend and have free time outside of school. Here's an opportunity to give some space. And, even then we can actually, if we let young people in on that process, imagine sitting here and saying, hey, I actually designed that space. I actually was part of creating that. Maybe it makes you want to stay in the community instead of going to Chicago or Denver or wherever the heck people are going. That's my take is how do we kind of focus on how we use it in the interim. And then over the long term, absolutely, there's plenty of space on there. I've walked around there. You can put mixed use, you can put parks, you can put housing, you can put everything there. But it's going to take some time.
Mayor, as always, thanks for taking time to join us. Appreciate the time, and we're off and running and look forward to many more visits and plenty more conversations to come.
Absolutely. Go Browns.
There you go. Mayor Shammas Malik live in our studio.